Welcome to Townsfolk Tussle, a 1 to 5 player cooperative boss battler with roguelite elements, developed by Panic Roll. This is their first debut game as a board game studio, and it's a 3-person development team, which is pretty insane, and they had a very successful Kickstarter. And I sort of wanted to make this video because just to sort of spread the word about this game, because I think this game is fantastic, and I've only played the demo. I'm still patiently waiting for my physical copy, which unfortunately, due to COVID and delays and stuff like that, I won't be getting for probably at least another couple of weeks. I believe this week, at the time of this recording, we should be getting an update for us Canadians on when we're going to get our copy, but many people in the States and some people around the world have already gotten theirs. So I've been sort of patiently watching some unboxings and praying that my copy gets us here as soon as possible. I am going to leave some timestamps in the description and on the video, so if you want to skip right to the gameplay and sort of learn how to play the game, then you can do that yourself rather than sort of listen to my ramblings. But I've been a fan of Kingdom Death Monster for a very long time. If you followed me on Twitter, or if you watched even some of my videos on this YouTube channel, I actually do have some Kingdom Death videos on Tabletop Simulator. My friends and myself have just loved that game. It's one of our favorite board games, and we have yet to beat it. We have many, many hours in it, but we have still yet to beat it. And so ever since I got my copy of Kingdom Death Monster, I've always been on the lookout for games that are similar to that. My friends and I love cooperative games like this. And so a little over a year ago, Townsfolk Tussle, as well as another game that I backed, Aeon's Trespass Odyssey, came across my table. And funny enough, I'm actually going to be getting Aeon's Trespass Odyssey this year as well, according to the developers. So I'm going to be getting some really, really good board games this year, and I'm going to be super, super excited. So yeah, I immediately backed this game. The price point was great. What the sort of general gameplay loop is fantastic, and obviously the aesthetic is really, really nice because they decided to go with, of course, the more casual, old-style animation. And I'm sure anyone who plays video games, Cuphead, I think, is the most prominent example, one of the more recent examples of this style of game visually. So it's really, really cool thematically. And what Panic Roll have done is really, really nice in that they've made this sort of boss battler style game a lot more accessible. I think a lot of games look at Kingdom Death Monster, or a lot of developers looked at Kingdom Death Monster and wanted to make a game similar to that, but sort of with their own theme and their own take on it. However, a lot of them sort of keep that complexity. Aeon's Trespass Odyssey, for example, is a lot more like Kingdom Death Monster than Townsfolk Tussle, as it's going to have a big campaign attached to it. It's meant to be played over a long series of sessions, whereas this game sort of adopts more of the roguelite element, where it's a lot shorter of a session. You are meant to be able to complete it in one night, and you're just meant to be playing it over and over again to discover new things, unlock new things for future runs. If you play a lot of video games and stuff like that, the term roguelite is going to be fairly familiar to you. So if you played like Binding of Isaac, Dead Cells, Hades, it sort of adopts that style of game where you're really choosing 4 bosses for each run and randomizing their order and just trying to fight 4 bosses. And that's the whole game. So there's no big campaign element to attach to it. However, there is just, the showdown focus or the battle focus. And that's sort of the general game loop. And every single boss has their own unique final fight where there's special objectives to complete and the special ways to win against that specific boss. And so depending on what the boss order is, it's going to be a completely different run every single time. And that, combined with the plethora of gear cards, there's just many, many different combinations of things to do. And you have a lot more, I think, just with some of the gameplay mechanics, it feels like you have a lot more sort of player agency and stuff like that over some of your decision making, and sort of how you want to build your character, which is really, really nice. Now, of course, I'll preface by saying I am recording using the Tabletop Simulator demo version of the game, so there are going to be some wordings and rules and stuff like that on the cards that are going to be different from the final version. I will put a link in the description below for the final rules book in the PDF form. The developers have uploaded that online, so you can double check that. As far as I can tell, though, there isn't too many major changes from the rules. The only one that I saw that sort of stuck out was for resetting the shop. The demo rulebook doesn't specify, but in the final rulebook, it does specify that you can only reset the shop once per town phase. But the other major differences, of course, is you're only getting a small piece of the content from the final version. For example, in the final version, there's a 7th townsfolk or 7th hero you can choose from. There is over 100 more gear cards rather than only having the 78 here. There is 50 more town event cards as opposed to the 50 here. And of course, in the demo version, you only have 4 bosses, whereas in the final version, you have 12 bosses to choose from. And, really, that produces a lot of replayability, I think. And there, even in the demo version, there's a lot of replayability. If it's all about running that game loop over and over. So there's, I would say that's at least a solid, 6 to 10 hours of gameplay here, depending on how many times you actually want to replay the demo. So it's a lot of fun. But with that out of the way, this sort of the introduction in sort of how I came across this game and sort of what the general gist is for the game. Why don't we choose some townsfolk and get on with it? In the variant rules for when you're playing by yourself, again, this game is meant for 1 to 5 players, which is really, really nice, by the way. You don't get a lot of 5-player cooperative games. 4 is sort of the sweet spot for most board games. But you're going to be choosing 3 townsfolk if you're playing by yourself, and you're going to be removing the secret town events from the town events deck. And the other variant rules, if you're playing with just one other person, both of you can either choose 2 characters of your choice to control for a total of 4 townsfolk, or you can go with just 1 each, which inherently will make the game more difficult, but that's sort of the variant rules depending on if you're playing with 1 or 2 people. So you're going to choose your characters. I'll do a little brief overview. I'm not going to read through every single thing, and we'll get into a little bit more of the mechanical stuff later on. But here are the different characters. And I won't, of course, mention the 7th one because I decided to, not read about the 7th one myself because I didn't want to spoil anything. So I don't even know the 7th townsfolk off the top of my head. So we have the Blopsy twins. They are supportive clairvoyant with a knack for instruments. So if you flip them over, you can see their different starting stats as well as their abilities. You can also see their starting gear listed at the bottom, which if you're playing on Tabletop Simulator, you can find their starting gear in the bottom left corner of the table here. We have Norman Fishboy, who's a depressed all-rounder willing to reluctantly do whatever needs to be done. And he's sort of a melee person with some pretty great starting stats. However, he has the special ability to increase his range of melee weapons. We have Granny Melba, who's a hard-hitting sharpshooter who always gets her discount, who is the range damage dealer of the group. And we have Quintus Bench, who's my personal favorite character, a light-footed all-rounder who's not afraid to swindle the peddler. I love getting gear and loot, and his ability allows him to take an item worth 5 coins or less from the Peddler Shop before anyone actually starts shopping. We have Yancey Plover, who's a burly grout, able to craft you some gear for the right price, so he can sort of tank for the group and force the ruffian, which is what the bosses are called in the game, to attack him as opposed to his friends. And his friends can actually pay him to get gear from the Peddler deck. And we have Henlo Bulwark, who is a skittish mender that's hard to keep down. And Henlo, she's sort of another supportive style character where she can actually heal other people. And then, of course, we would have the 7th townfolk. So that is sort of a little quick overview of the characters. One nice thing is that I did talk about, this character sort of a tankish character, another character sort of a more supportive character. But the cool thing about this game is that because it is a roguelite, it's a little bit more about just sort of how you build your character with the gear. Even if you have a more supportive character, it doesn't, shoehorn you into only playing in that play style where you only have to, support everyone else. I do like how there's a lot of different combinations of items that you can have to make your character whatever you want. Assuming you come across the right item, you can have some really, really cool builds. So you pick whatever you feel like thematic-wise, ability-wise, whatever you want, and we'll get on with it. So I'm going to go pick my characters. I'm going to set them all up and get ready for the very first town phase. The game is just going to alternate between town phase, fight phase, town phase, and fight phase, and so on and so forth until we are done with the game. I'll see you in a second. Alrighty, we are back, and I have chosen my characters. I've got them all set up. So for starting up the game, what you're going to want to do, of course, is to get your characters. You're going to get your starting gear and put them in the right, slots. Gear slots. You're going to also want to grab 10 coins for every townsfolk. You're going to also want to grab your counters to place on your starting values for your stats. And then you're going to also want to grab some Feats of Metal cards. So Feats of Metal, you're going to be normally, if you're playing with a group of friends, You're going to keep these face down until you actually achieve them, and then you reveal them and cash them in. However, of course, since we're playing by ourselves, we can just play with these all face up. Now, feats of metal are really, really cool. They add a really, really interesting dynamic to the game, which these are just mini challenges you can complete throughout the game, whether it be in the town phase or whether it be in the fight phase. And once you actually achieve these, you're going to reveal it, and you can either cash it in for either a monetary reward or a stat boost for the fight. So it gives some really, really cool flexibility, and it also adds an interesting dynamic since you are playing with these face down normally with friends. You can be a little bit cheeky and be like, oh, I'm going to go run over here and activate this terrain piece, as opposed to, you know, maybe fighting the boss and, you know, meanwhile your friend's looking at you wondering like, why the hell aren't you helping me? However, so there is a sort of a almost, I wouldn't say a co-optional element. I would say there are some competitive elements to this game. However, the nice thing about it, it is your board game. It's your rules, your fun. So if you do want to play fully cooperative, you can just play with them face up, and you can strategize with your team to sort of maximize the rewards. Now, for the competitive element, though, these do provide two different uses. So you'll notice a point value listed on them. So at the very, very end, when you get to the final fight, whoever has the most points from the feats of metal cards will become the sheriff for the final fight, and they'll receive a unique piece of gear that is relevant to the boss, as well as there'll be some extra rules surrounding the sheriff, which I'll leave to you to discover yourself. Additionally, at the end of each boss fight, whoever has completed the most feats of metal cards for that specific round will be eligible to get a random piece of boss unique gear. Every single boss has 3 pieces of unique gear, so whoever has the most feats completed in that round, not feat points, just the actual card, they'll have a random choice of one of those 3 pieces of gear, which is really, really cool. But of course, you're all sort of cooperating to try and achieve, you know, getting to the end of the boss run. So you can still hopefully be amicable and be cooperative with your team. So after you're done that, you're sort of going to go into the first town phase of the game, and you're going to draw town events. Now, one thing we also need to do is we need to randomize the boss order. So we're just going to grab one there. I should also mention, you can see these buttons about setting up things and clearing gear. For the demo version, the official version from the developers isn't scripted, so you have to do everything manually. Someone actually took it upon themselves to script some things, so taking things down and setting things up is a lot quicker. So if you want the scripted version, just make sure it's the unofficial version you're wanting to keep your eye out for. All right, so I think that is that. We also want to set the turn order. So the rule book doesn't really say a specific way to set this up, but I think clockwise is sort of what they recommend. Now there is sort of 2 different turn orders for you to decide on, because for the fighting phase, you can see it goes in the beating order, so it goes from top to bottom, where the ruffian always goes first every round. And for the town phase, you're generally going to be following the buying order, so it's going from bottom to top. So it's cool, interesting sort of different ways of thinking about the turn order. And at the end of each fight as well, these will rotate, so the person at the top will move to the bottom, so on and so forth. Let me just get some water. Gonna be doing a lot of talking. All right, so once your turn order is all set up, you're going to start resolving the town events. So again, if you're familiar with Kingdom Death Monster, these are pretty much the settlement events for each round. They can be potentially helpful, or they can hinder you. And you're going to resolve them in the buying order. So Yancey Plover is going to resolve their town event first. Wilbur needs weapons. You find a small elderly man cowering in a corner. Hey pal, lend Grandpa a weapon, will ya? You may help Wilbur by discarding a weapon. If you do, you can roll. If you get a 1 to 2, Wilbur thanks you for the weapon and runs away. Cheapskate. 3 to 7, you receive the first weapon in the Peddler deck, and 8 or higher, you get 12 coins. We only have our starting weapon. It doesn't specify that it has to be a non-starting weapon, since there are some things that do that. However, just statistically, we have more of a chance of something good happening than something bad happening. So you know what? We're gonna get rid of old Smacky. We do start with 10 coins, so even if we do end up losing our starting weapon, hopefully we can find a cheap weapon to get. So we're going to do that, and we're going to roll on the table. So let's get some dice. And we're going to roll. Ooh, almost a natural 10. So it's going to be a 4, which means we got a 3 to 7. Thanks, sonny. Take this old clunker. Wilbur hands you his old weapon. Receive the first weapon in the Peddler deck. So we're just going to keep drawing until we find the first weapon. That's not a weapon. That's not a weapon. That's not a weapon. That's not a weapon. That is a weapon. So it's... oh, no. Yeah, oh, and by the way, anything that is considered going in your one-handed slots, or sorry, your hand slots, either your left hand or your right hand, is considered a weapon. Now, unfortunately, this weapon that we got, while it is worth quite a bit of money, it's not a damaging weapon. It is still considered a weapon, since it does go in your hand slots. It reduces our max HP by 1, and we can spend 2 Moxie to restore 1 HP to another townsfolk. So, I mean, it's not the worst thing. At least we can always use 2 Moxie every turn to heal people. So we're fully supportive. Maybe we can also find a cheap weapon to sort of go in our other hand here. For these other ones, we'll just set them off to the side. I think originally you're supposed to put anything just underneath the Peddler deck, but we'll just throw it there. All right, well, that actually wasn't the worst thing in the world, because to be honest, even if we want to, now that we have this non-starting weapon, we can actually sell this in the town phase and add to our pool of money, so we can actually buy a pretty expensive weapon. So that actually was not the worst thing in the world. Next up in the buying order is Quintus Binch. Band practiced. I've never... Oh no, I have seen this one. Never mind. A group of citizens play a medley down the town's chaotic street. Oh, by the way, as well, I have removed the secret events from the deck. If you do have a secret town event, you're just not supposed to reveal it to the rest of your team until the requirement is fulfilled, and then you reveal it. And some of those can actually be revealed even if you're knocked out during the fight, so just be careful about those. A group of citizens play a medley down the town's chaotic street. If you have an instrument, you get 5 coins. If you have no instrument, band continues on their way. Unfortunately, I believe the Blopsy twins are the only ones that start with an instrument, so we did not get very lucky there. But luckily, nothing bad happened to us, so it's all good. And of course, you just want to make sure you don't have any town event related feats of metal to cash in, because again, you cash these in right the moment that you actually achieve them. All right, last but not least, we have Norman Fishboy. Dying Gift. I have not seen this one before. You find a townsfolk sliced in half. Yeah. Contrary to what the very cartoony nature of this game does have, mature elements to it. So obviously, if you're looking to play this with small children, you want to be forewarned about that. You find a townsfolk sliced in half. With his last bit of strength, he hands you a piece of paper and whispers, "Please utilize this fantastic deal. You receive a buy one, get one coupon. Keep this card in front of you. The next time you purchase an item from the shop, you may take an additional item of equal or lesser value for free." Whoa. That's pretty insane. The cool thing about this as well is it's the next time you purchase an item from the shop. So we don't have to cash it in on this first town phase if we don't want to. Wow, that's a really, really good town event. Nothing bad happened to us. That doesn't really happen. Okay, so that is the town event. So then we move into the buying phase of the town phase. So you can see on the right side here is the Peddler Shop. What you're going to want to do is you're going to draw the first 10 cards of the Peddler's deck and set them up in the store. And now before anyone does anything or activates any abilities or town event related abilities, you can decide to reset the shop, because you can see Quintus Bint here has an ability where he can take an item worth 5 coins or less from the Peddler Shop before each shopping session. Actually, before that even happens, though, everyone should collectively decide if they want to reset the shop or not. You can do it once per town phase, and you have to pay 2 coins per townsfolk collectively. So we have 3 townsfolk, so 6 coins collectively, any combination of, from anyone, really. To essentially get rid of these 10 cards and draw a set of 10 new cards. But I think we're pretty good here. The unfortunate part is there isn't another weapon, so at least one that does damage. So Yancey Plover is not going to be able to do any damage to this fight phase. But I also don't know if I want to spend 6 coins to reset it, because that could also put us in a little bit of a pinch. You know what? Quintus Binch gets a thing for free, so I think he's going to be super generous. How about we do this? How about we spend 3 coins from Quintus and we'll spend 3 coins from Norman. Actually, no, we'll spend 2 coins from Norman, and we'll spend 1 coin from Yancey for a total of 6 to reset the shop. And we actually did get a weapon. Okay, cool. So we have something that Yancey Plover can do for his turn. All right, so that is going to be that. And then you're going to be going in, starting in the buying order. But before we do that, Quintus Binch's ability is going to go off, where he can take an item worth 5 coins or less. There isn't too much. We only have 2 options. We can either take the dealer's card or the sharp cheddar, which is a healing item. He already starts with a consumable. And the dealer's card in the long run is actually a really, really cool item. So I think we're going to grab the dealer's card, which it's a special gear, which means it doesn't have to go in a gear slot, and we can use its ability whenever we want. So it doesn't have to be equipped, essentially, to be used. So during the town phase, you can discard 2 completed feats of metal to receive the top card from the Peddler deck. So that's I've had some before, and it can be really, really useful. Oh, and I actually didn't even realize, but we got Picky Patron. If the Peddler Shop is reset, achieve this feat. So we actually can cash that in for 3 coins. Very cool. So we actually got back our coins. All right. Nice. Cool. Alrighty. So that is going to be Quintus Binch's ability. And then we start going in the turn order. So Yancey Plover is going to be buying first. So on your turn in the buying phase, you can either sell one thing or buy one thing, and then it just keeps going until everyone is done buying and selling. So that just sort of prevents one person from, selling a bunch of stuff and buying out the shop in one go. Because even when you buy something or something leaves the store, you do not refill the empty slot. So this is a limited sort of inventory for the shop. Yancey Plover has 9 coins. They do get a feat of metal if they end the town with an instrument equipped. However, I don't think there's any instruments for us here. And we do need a weapon. So I think we're going to spend 8 coins. And we're going to purchase that Finicky Grenade, which is a ranged weapon, which has really good damage. However, we just have to be careful, because if we miss with it, everyone around the ruffian takes 1 damage, including you, because it is only a 3 range weapon. But, we do have some flexibility with this character now. We can heal people, which is always good. Can we heal ourselves? No, we can't heal ourselves. Okay, so we have to be careful about that. All right, next up in the buying order is Quintus Binch. Quintus has got his coins back, so he actually has 10 coins to use. So we can get the Crown of Order. Ooh, this is a little bit of a combo. That is an interesting combo. So what we could do is we could spend all of our coins to get this Crown of Order, which will give our character +1 accuracy, which is already good. But when received, you instantly achieve a feat of your choice. You do not receive a reward for its completion. However, what that would do is if we complete this feat, we'll have 2 completed feats already where we can cash it in for the dealer's card, which I think we're going to do because that's a pretty cool combo. So I'm going to spend all my coins. And we're going to buy the Crown of Order, and that gives us +1 accuracy. And it just says during the town phase, we can do this at pretty much any point. You can discard 2 completed feats of metal, which I think we'll do. It is going to make us pretty much not eligible to, well, not necessarily guaranteed, but we're very much likely not going to be able to be one of the folks that gets a chance at the unique boss gear. Since we won't have these completed feats of metal cards, but that's okay. So we get the top card of the Peddler's deck now. So hopefully we get pretty lucky and get a pretty expensive item here. Whoa, that is an expensive item. Chucking Spear. It's a ranged one-handed. Oh, it's one-handed, so we can actually use this alongside the rubber bat. Now, there's a little bit of an issue here. It does cost 3 Moxie to use this weapon. And Moxie is just sort of your action pool for the turn, and we only have 2. So until we find a way to actually get an extra Moxie, we cannot use that. Now, I can try and do this in the middle of the battle, so we can try and take damage from the ruffian when the target is farthest townsfolk, and that'll actually, we can cash that in for +1 Moxie for this fight, so we can start using this. Additionally, I can sell this item, so when you're selling items, you get half the value listed on the card, rounded down. So I would get 6 coins for this, which wouldn't really do too much. I essentially would have wasted money for that. So I think we're just going to keep that. I'm pretty still happy with just getting +1 accuracy as well. All right, and next up is Norman Fishboy. So Norman Fishboy, he does have a feat of metal where he wants to end the town phase with 0 coins. So he has 8 coins total. Unfortunately, nothing costs 8. I should also mention that you are unable to trade coins or gear with other players. There is a variant rule in the final rule book, though, that does mention that if you want to use a variant rule to allow you to trade gear with players, you can. However, it does make the game a lot easier. So just bear that in mind. I don't know what I want. I don't know if I want anything. Norman Fishboy is one of the starting characters that actually starts with some pretty decent stats. So I don't think we really need anything. If anything, I think we might just get like the Sharp Cheddar just for some extra healing. Yeah. Why don't we do that? Let's just spend some coins and get some healing down. All right, so that is going to be the... I think it's going to be that. I don't think I'm going to sell anything or do anything else with anyone else. So yeah, let us move on to the fight phase. So after you're done buying and selling, you can clear the gear, flip this over, and you can set up the fight. So you're going to first reveal who you're going to be fighting up next. We have Umbrello. So we can just click this fancy little Umbrello setup button. You're going to place the token at the top here. Yeah, I'm just going to make a quick cut here because I just realized I have something I need to do, so I'm going to have to step away from the computer. So we'll make a cut, and then, yeah, we'll come back and we'll start the fight phase. Okay, we are back and we are ready to go. So the first things first, assuming you're doing this manually, the one thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a look at the boss card. So the boss card is going to have a little bit of info just on the boss and sort of what the ruffian is trying to do to cause trouble around Eureka Springs. On the right side, you're going to have the different difficulty levels depending on where you encountered the boss on the road. So, for example, if it was the 2nd, 3rd, or the 4th boss you encountered, they get an additional ability. Or if they're the 4th boss, you're going to be doing the final fight, which is on the other side of this card at the bottom here. So this has all the different things that you have to do, the special objectives and everything like that. So you don't have to pay attention to this lower half part unless it's the last fight. The top half, however, here on the flip side will tell you where to place all the different terrain, as well as where the different positions you can place your characters and where the ruffian goes. If you do encounter any spaces that have FF, that just means that that is reserved for a final fight piece of terrain, so don't worry about that. So this is all we need from this side, though, since this is our first fight. Additionally, you'll see underneath the little lower part, there'll be movement and health, depending on how many townsfolk you're using for the game. We're using 3, so it's going to have, so the Umbrello is going to have 14 health and 6 movement. We can use our little black counters to mark that off. Additionally, it'll show their weakness, certain requirements. If you fulfill them in the action cards of the boss, you can activate their weakness potentially, which will, of course, help you out. And then at the very bottom, it shows their ruffian gear rewards. So these are the 3 unique pieces of gear that I was talking about earlier. And if you notice each one of them has a star beside it, that just means that it is one that you can potentially get by getting a critical hit. If you get a critical hit when you attack, you get to roll another d10. And if you get a 9 or higher, you get their unique piece of gear with a star beside it. So it's pretty cool bonus on top of a bonus already. After that, you're going to want to place your characters down where it labels on the map. You can choose any one of those spaces. I've already gone ahead and placed my characters down here. Additionally, you want to have a little bit of a review of what the terrain does. So the major distinction between the 2 different types of terrain, you have features and you have obstacles. Obstacles will block movement for both the ruffian and the townsfolk, and it will block line of sight for the townsfolk. However, ruffians can still do ranged damage through obstacles towards you. And the features don't block movement or line sight, and you can actually go on top of them. To interact with them, you have to be on top of features, and for obstacles, you have to be adjacent, so meaning anywhere on the orthogonal directions, because you cannot move diagonally in this game, so you can be on the left, right, front, or back side. And that is essentially how you do that. Some of them have coin costs and some of them have moxie costs. And then generally you will be just rolling a dice for seeing what happened there. Just remember there are certain feats of metal that are related to terrain pieces. For example, this one where we can get this feat of metal if we remove a terrain piece from the board. However, I don't think... All right, Deserted Picnic, actually, we could try and go through. Deserted Picnic or Dynamite and Detonator are the two that we could actually get the feat of metal with. All right, but I think that is it. I think we are ready to fight. So we're going to give the old Umbrello AI deck a shuffle. Every single boss has 15 card deck. Over the course of you playing through multiple times and encountering the boss multiple times, you'll start to learn their move set and start to be able to plan ahead a little bit more. So a lot of these roguelike games in general is just about playing it over and over again until you slowly start gaining knowledge, because a lot of the game is about knowledge, right? So when you know something is coming up, or when you know what potential moves might be happening, you can sort of strategize around that. So we're going to start off in the beaten order. Again, the boss always goes first unless otherwise specified. So Umbrella, you're just going to draw the top card of the AI deck and flip it over. Now, if you played Kingdom Death Monster or any similar AI boss battlers, you should be pretty familiar with the style of sort of AI mechanic for the enemy. So you're just going to read top to bottom, and you're going to just fulfill its conditions as required. So it's going to target the closest townsfolk, and that is going to be Yancey. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Actually, they're both 3 spaces away, so they're both eligible, meaning they're going to roll off. If you have ties, you roll off, and the lowest person becomes the target. So Yancey has a 5, and Norman has a 1. So Norman's going to be the target here. So it's going to move towards target. If Umbrella reaches them, deal 1 damage. And easy, because the Umbrella has 6 movement, so Norman's going to take a damage right away. And after effect. The after effect generally only occurs if you actually took damage. Otherwise specified. Sometimes you don't have to take damage for the after effect to go, but in this case, it would be. The target is seeing stars. They are flung 6 squares towards the town pond and must lower their accuracy by 1. Oof. All right, so town pond is this terrain piece right here. So we're going to 1, 2, 3. We'll end right there. And we have to lower our accuracy by 1. Luckily, Norman actually starts with a +2 accuracy, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Plus, I think next turn we're going to eat the sharp cheddar to get that health back and give us +2 accuracy for the fight anyways. So that's going to be Umbrella's turn. Next up is going to be Norman Fishboy. So Norman's going to start off by eating his sharp cheddar. We're going to discard that, which will gain us 1 health back, as well as we'll get +2 accuracy. So I'll have +3 accuracy total. And then I think next up he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. You can move a total of 4 spaces. Now, the way this game works for movement is you can break up your movement with actions if you want to, and your actions are determined by how much moxie you have. So every single thing in the game, whether it be activating abilities or using weapons, activating terrain, it all costs moxie. And the more moxie that you have, the more things you can do in a turn. An easy rule of thumb is that you can only activate each thing once per turn, whether that be gear cards, weapons, or terrain. So you can interact everything once per turn, assuming you have enough moxie for multiple things. So for instance, if we had 4 moxie, we could activate our fishy cap and our reliable rod. But we just have 2 moxie, we're going to use it to attack. Each weapon has a moxie cost. The middle number is the target number you have to meet or beat to succeed on a successful attack. And that also is going to be not including any modifiers, of course. So you're going to roll the dice, add your modifiers, or subtract from the dice number, and then see if it meets or beats the target number. And then if you get a successful hit, you're going to have damage, of course. This weapon has a range of 2, but we also, thanks to our lengthy limbs, Norman gets +2 with all melee weapons, so we can actually attack from 4 spaces away with our reliable rod. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are in range. So we're gonna roll a dice, and we're looking for a 3 or higher because we have a +3 accuracy. That's gonna be a 4, so that's gonna be a successful hit. It's gonna do 1 damage to the ruffian, and because we hit with the weapon, we can actually pull them up to 2 squares towards you, and I think I will do that. Then we'll try to bait him towards the dynamite, and then maybe we can have someone use the dynamite for a big amount of damage. All right, next up is Quintus Binch. So I think Quintus is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the reason for this is I think Quintus wants to try and activate the big barrel, because if we activate the big barrel, if we roll a 5 or higher, we get to restore health, which we're already at max, so it doesn't really matter there. But it also increases our other stats by 1, which means we would get 3 Moxie, and then we can start using our Chuckin' Spear. So we're going to roll, hopefully get a 5 or higher. That's going to be a 9, so that's going to be a success. So we already at max health, so we don't get the health. However, we do get to raise all of our other stats by 1. Massive, massive turn. Easy peasy. So I moved 6. That was all of my movement. Oh, wait, shoot, did I move 6? I think I was only supposed to move 5. Where was the starting thing? I think I might have actually made a mistake. Oh, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, no. Okay, we're actually good. Our starting point did allow us to reach there in 5 movement. However, because I raised up to 6, that actually gives me an extra movement for the turn. So I'll just spend another movement and go here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because I actually sort of want to get targeted. If one of the cards is farthest townsfolk and he reaches me and deals damage, I'll actually be able to cash this card in for the Feat of Metal reward. All right, so next up is going to be Yancey Plover. So Yancey Plover, what do we want to do with you? I guess we'll just go in and try and chuck our grenades and hopefully not miss. That actually might be a little bit risky with Norman that close by, because if I do miss, all townsfolk within 3 squares actually take 1 damage. We can't really go for any Feats of Metal cards. So I guess we will attack and just hope. We don't have much else we can do. We'll go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Where did I start? It's K. So we actually started here. I only have 3 movement with Yancey, unfortunately, so not much. 1, 2. So we can go here, because our grenades have a range of 3. So 1, 2, 3. All right, so we're gonna roll. We have no bonus. I guess I could do Frantic Fighter instead. Yeah, let's just be safe. Actually, let's do Frantic Fighter. So I'll just actually pay 2 Moxie. Well, actually, I could do both because this only costs 1 Moxie to use. But we will do this anyways. So if the next card in the action deck targets a single townsfolk, it targets you instead. And if it does not target a single townsfolk, we actually get +1 movement for the fight. So I'll just put a red marker here just to remind us. All right, so that's 2 Moxie for that ability, and we have 1 Moxie left over because Yancey starts with 3 Moxie. So I'm going to activate my Finicky Grenades, and we're going to pray. 5 or higher. That is a natural 1. By the way, natural 1s are always misses, regardless of your accuracy buff. So that means everyone, all townsfolk within 3 squares of the ruffian take 1 damage. So that's going to be him, because you have to be within range. And Norman's going to take 1 as well. Oof. Not a good showing by Yancey. We really need an accuracy buff to use these properly, I think. All right, well, that's going to be it for Yancey. And then it's going to go back to the top of the order. So Umbrella's going to go, and let's see if it's a single target attack. No, it's not. So since it's not a single target attack, Yancey actually gets +1 movement. All townsfolk within 3 squares, that is both Yancey and Norman. They all take 1 damage, then move towards the farthest townsfolk. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Push each target 5 squares towards the town pond. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can definitely tell that the Umbrella wants us to be by this town pond, so that sort of helps shape our game plan. Norman, what are you going to do? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 3. We're going to go 3 here, and then we're going to attack. And again, we're looking for a 3 or higher, thanks to our accuracy buff. Actually, we are right beside the murky moat, which means we can actually use our fishy cap, because we have to be adjacent to the murky moat, the wishing well, or the town pond. We can just spend 2 Moxie to fling it at the ruffian, within 4 squares for 2 damage, and as opposed to just the 1 damage from our reliable rod. We can do it once per fight. So let's do that actually. Let's spend our 2 Moxie and just get an automatic 2 damage. Now, you'll see here, we've reached our first what is called breaking point. So whenever you meet or go under the breaking point, it automatically activates the breaking point action for the boss, which means, and if you played Kingdom Death Monster, you should be familiar with trap cards. This is sort of that this game's version of trap cards, where whoever's turn it is automatically ends. So now Norman's turn is automatically done, and the boss gets a free action right away. Aerial drop-off. Closest townsfolk with leg gear equipped, which is nobody. So if there's none, discard this and play the next card in the action deck. All right. Farthest townsfolk. Place umbrella adjacent to the target regardless of distance and deal 1 damage. Whoa, just an automatic teleport. Now, when it says place, that just means put him right beside, and unless it specifies exactly where it should go, which I don't know if there's any card that does, it's up to you to determine where you want it to go. And I think we'll put it on the farthest side away from everybody, because I think we're going to try to get everyone away from the town pond if possible. So that is going to do 1 damage to Yancey. Yancey's getting pretty close to death right now. I think we'll save our Smithy's apron, because we are able to negate a bunch of damage, but actually no. Let's negate it, because if we happen to use our finicky grenades and blow ourselves up again, I don't think Smithy's apron protects us from ourselves. So we'll just take the we'll actually use the Smithy's apron to negate that 1 damage. All right, so that was Norman's turn, and that was just the breaking point action. So then after that breaking point action resolves, it just turns continue as normal. So now it's going to be Quintus Binch's turn. And I think, really would like to just use the chucking spear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we can actually do that. I am a little bit worried about Yancey, though. Tough to say. Because what I could do is I could use my ability Trickster and swap positions with Nancy and just use the rubber bat for 1 damage. Which might not be the worst thing in the world. However, I still want to try to get caught in the back, I guess. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because we have 6 movement, and we Chuck Spear has 4 range, and it costs 3 Moxie to use, so we're going to spend 3 Moxie to attack with it. Because we have +2 accuracy, we essentially have to just get 2 on the dice. So anything but a 1, really. A 1 is on auto miss anyways. That's going to be a 4. That's going to be a successful hit. So it's a whopping 3 damage, which in this game, that is a lot of damage. Massive, massive turn. So Chuck and Spear says when this weapon is unequipped after attacking, even if you miss. So, you know, hence the name, you're just chucking it. Now, I didn't mention this before, but in terms of re-equipping gear or exchanging gear, it costs 2 Moxie, and you choose a gear slot to swap something in or re-equip something. And you can do that for for 1 gear slot. The only exception is for weapons. You can do that simultaneously. So if we had 2 one-handed weapons and we had a 2-hander we wanted to equip, we would only just need to spend the 2 Moxie once to remove both the one-handers and equip the 2-hander. So we'll just re-equip this next turn essentially. So that's gonna be it. We've spent all of our Moxie, and that is that. So then it is gonna be Yancey Plover's turn. So Yancey is just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4 and go up here. And we're going to use we're going to spend 2 Moxie to use our Butterfly Nectar to restore 1 HP to another townsfolk within 4 squares, which is going to be Norman. Unfortunately, we can't heal ourselves with that, but hopefully we can just heal everyone as much as possible before I think Yancey inevitably dies. And that's going to be 2 Moxie. I don't think... I mean, I guess I could risk the finicky grenades. However, that would activate another breaking point. And then after that breaking point, they would get their regular turn. So I don't think Yancey's going to survive that. I think what we want to try to do is See, the Wishing Well can potentially heal you. However, we don't have 2 coins to use it. And I don't think we're gonna get... we can't get any of these now. I think we just gotta keep Yancey alive just to be able to heal everyone else. Like, we'll just try and keep him alive so he can keep playing support. Unfortunately, he sort of restricted that. And then, you know, if we need to, we'll chuck the grenades as a final Yahoo. So I think that's going to be Yancey's turn, so it's back to the top of the order. Umbrello's turn next. Heavy flooding. No targets. Each townsfolk within 4 squares of the town pond takes 1 damage and move Umbrella towards the Wishing Well. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is going to be Norman. And unfortunately, that is going to be Yancey as well. So, yeah, we would have been in doo-doo, hot doo-doo there. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And luckily, Quintus is out of range. And then move towards the Wishing Well, which is the terrain piece over here. So the Ruffian has 6 movement. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, when a Ruffian collides with a player, the moment they enter the player's space, you can choose the closest adjacent spot to move in. So if we go here for 5 movement, Quintus, for example, can go either here or here. And I think we'll just put Quintus there. And the same goes for Norman, and we'll put Norman there. And then 6, well, then 6 for Yancey, and Yancey, the only spot for him available is there. All right, so it's going to be Norman's turn. Oof. Now, it's a little bit risky doing any sort of damage here because the next point of damage is going to activate the breaking point. But we might just want to get it out of the way and just maybe pray. Because that's always good, right? I mean, I guess we could also skip Norman's turn. Oh yeah, this was also searched. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, let's play things a little safe, maybe. You can go through townsfolk, by the way. You just can't end on the townsfolk spot. However, you cannot move through ruffians. I'm debating where I want to go because I think I might just not do anything with Norman, and then I can actually move with Quintus and then swap places with Yancey, so he's far away from the town pond, so there's less of a chance of him taking damage. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, and just end our turn. Unfortunately, not much else we can do there. And then for Quintus's turn next, he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because he's got 6 movement. We're going to spend 2 Moxie. Unfortunately, it would have been nice to re-equip the Chucking Spear, but I think we just want to get Yancey out of there. So we're going to swap positions with Yancey for 2 Moxie. This is one of the reasons I love Quintus. His ability is so good. Oop. I think he was there, right? And that was only 2 Moxie. And our rubber bat only costs 1 Moxie, and we have 3 Moxie total. So we can actually use our rubber bat, which we will get an attack on. Because Quintus is at full health, so hopefully it attacks the target closest townsfolk. So we're looking for a 3 or higher, because we have +2 accuracy. That is a 7, so that's a successful hit. So that's going to be 1 damage, and that's going to hit the next breaking point. So Quintus's turn automatically ends, and Umbrello gets a turn. No target. All townsfolk within 5 squares of the town pond take 1 damage. So I'm really, really glad we moved Yancey away. So here's a town pond. So Quintus does take 1 damage. And then move Umbrello towards the farthest townsfolk and reshuffle the action deck. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll push Norman this way. And we'll reshuffle the deck. All right, so that was a worse thing. So that was the breaking point action. So turns resolve as normal now. So it's going to be Yancey's turn. This is a little bit sketchy. I think we're just gonna heal. We're just gonna heal Norman 1. We can 1, 2, 3. We can do it 4 spaces away. So let's heal. Spend 2 Moxie to heal Norman, and then we are just going to run. I think we'll go 1. Which way do we want to run? Let's go in the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, and head up here. Because if it's closest townsfolk now, it's just going to target Norman at least. So that's Yancey's turn. So now it's going to be Umbrella's turn. Aerial drop off closest. Okay, so this is the one with the leg gear, but no one has leg gear, so we're going to discard that and draw the next action card. Farthest townsfolk. Winds pull the target around the landscape. Move them 10 squares towards Umbrello. Then, if they are adjacent to Umbrello, trigger the after effect. That's going to be Quintus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is going to be active. After effect. The wind propels you face first into the Umbrella's boot. The target takes 2 damage. Ooh, so Quintus goes down to 1 health. Oh boy. Alright, well, it's Norman's turn. Norman's turn, huh? What do we want to do? We'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we are 4 spaces away, so we can attack with our reliable rod. I think we just got to try and get him down as fast as possible. 6, that is going to be a successful hit. So that's 1 damage. And we are going to pull... Do we want to pull? I mean, we could try, like, baiting towards the dynamite. That might be our key to winning. So we'll go 1 and push Quintus this way. 2, and we'll do that. All right, it's going to be Quintus's turn next. I think Quintus... we're not in danger of hitting a breaking point. Oh, and caught in the back. We actually can resolve this because he was targeted as the farthest townsfolk. I don't think we need the extra Moxie. It would allow us to use our Trickster ability and re-equip our Chucking Spear in the same turn, but I don't think we need to do that right now. So I think we're just going to cash it in for the 2 coins and pray we make it out of this alive. And then, so we're going to spend 2 Moxie to re-equip our Chucking Spear. We have 1 Moxie left, so we're going to attack with our Rubber Bat. And we are going to look for a 3 or higher on the dice. That is a 4. That's going to be a hit, so that's going to be 1 damage. And we're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll move beside Yancey here. I could also have used the stolen candy to get out of dodge. But I think we might save that to try and do some play with the dynamite. All right, so that's going to be Quintus's turn. Yancey's turn next. Yancey is just going to use 2 Moxie to use the Butterfly Nectar Wand and heal... oh, Norman's at 3 health. Okay, so he's all right. So let's heal Quintus for 1. And I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's already considered the farthest. Let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4 and get beside the dynamite here. Or at least the detonator. All right, that's going to be Yancey's turn. We have Umbrella, so hopefully it's a closest target. Perfect. Closest townsfolk. Move towards target. If it reaches them, deal 1 damage. So that's going to do 1 damage to Norman. Move the target 4 squares towards the town pond. End movement once adjacent. If the target is wearing leg gear, it is discarded. Wow, it's not even unequipped. It's gotten rid of. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so not the worst thing. Not the worst thing. It's going to be Norman Fishboy's turn. So Norman's got 4 movement. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. 4. And we're going to attack 1, 2, 3, 4 because we're 4 spaces away. We can attack. So let's attack with our reliable rod. We're looking for a 3 or higher. Oh, that's a 2. I really needed that to hit. Dang it. If only didn't have that -1 accuracy from earlier, I would have been hit. All right, so it's going to be Quintus's turn. Well, I think we just go for broke and we try to gun him down within the next round because we do have our chucking spear equipped, so we could do 3 damage to do 3. However, that would end our turn and we wouldn't be able to use the rubber bat as well. And I don't know if I want to spend an action or get to the breaking point this turn because Yancey's pretty close to dying, and I think I want to get him at least another turn of healing for someone else first. So I could swap positions with Norman and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and head towards the wishing well, and also potentially try and bait Umbrello away. That might actually be the best decision. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to spend 2 Moxie. We're going to swap positions with Norman. We have 6 movement. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because we do have the coins that we can use on the wishing well. And that's going to be it. So it's going to be Yancey's turn. So Yancey's just going to spend 2 Moxie to heal Norman for 1. And we're back up to Umbrello. Farthest townsfolk, place adjacent to the target regardless of distance and deal 1 damage. That actually sort of works out for us because we can place him here. Yeah, let's place him here. And Quintus does take 1 damage. However, it is Norman's turn, so unfortunately there's a little bit of a problem here. It's all characters within 4 squares of the dynamite take 3 damage, which would be Quintus here. If we wait until after Quintus's turn is done and Quintus moves away, Yancey will only get 1 chance to do this. But I think that's better because trying to keep Quintus alive is better just because he does have a really, really strong weapon. So I think... What do I do with Norman then? This is rough. Oh, wait, what about the beehive? If a townsfolk or a ruffian start their turn adjacent to this, they take 1 damage. Okay. Okay. So let's see. I mean, I could just attack him once and trigger the breaking point. And just hope that it's like target furthest townsfolk and not target closest. We could play that a little bit risky. I think we're better off just waiting. Yeah, I think we're better off just not doing anything with Norman here. We'll just put Norman here just to, I guess, prepare. Additionally, I think what we'll do is, now it's Quintus's turn, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to activate the wishing well, I think, for 2 coins. Actually, let's go 1, 2, 3. And activate the wishing well here. So we're just going to pay 2 coins and roll. That's a 3. The wishing well. Oh, nothing happens. Shoot, we needed a 4. Oh, it's really bad. That's really bad. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sacrifice potentially Quintus then. Because he does have a chucking spear, and if we do 3 damage, 1, 2, 3, and Umbrello doesn't really move, or moves towards Quintus, we can still blow him up with Yancey and end the game there. So let's just do that. Let's just play for the greater good here. So we're going to chuck our spear for 3 Moxie, because it only costed coins to use the well. So let's do that. So we're looking for a 2 or higher. That's a 4, so that's going to be a successful hit. So that's 3 damage. The chucking spear gets unequipped. And we do an action for Umbrello. No target. Turn towards the Closest townsfolk, all townsfolk standing directly in front of Umbrello take 2 points of damage. Unfortunately, Quintus goes down and sacrifices himself for the greater good. And then move towards the farthest townsfolk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, unfortunately, the breaking point action, it doesn't count as them starting their turn, so they don't take the damage from the buzzing hive. All right, we are in a lot of trouble now. I mean, there's only 2 health left, so it is still possible. It's just that, boy, that's unfortunate. Unfortunate timing. Man, unfortunate card. If only they stayed there. Okay, well, well, Yancey's turn next. We're just gonna use our butterfly nectar one and max out Norman. Hopefully that gives Norman enough time to just, even if he's by himself, if Yancey dies, it's enough time to, you know, keep attacking. All right, so then it's gonna be Umbrello's turn. No target. All townsfolk are pushed 3 squares towards the town pond. And play the next action card. Closest townsfolk move towards him. If they move towards him, they take 1 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Norman does take a damage. And they're flung 6 squares towards the town pond, and accuracy is reduced by 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're back to our original +2 accuracy, so not the worst thing in the world, but still bad. All right, it's Norman's turn. So Norman's going to go 1, 2. Or actually, no, we need to stay in range to keep healing. But we do want to get away from the town pond. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll attack. We don't have to worry about breaking points anymore. Oh, thank you for that terrain piece. So that's going to be a successful hit because we have +2 accuracy. 5 + 2 is 7, so we meet our requirement. It's 1 damage. It's got 1 health left, and it's going to be Yancey Plover's turn. So Yancey could use the grenades, but if he misses, he blows himself up and does the damage to Norman. So I think we're better off just playing it safe and healing Norman up. So we're going to spend 2 Moxie. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 4 spaces away, which is just enough range for the Butterfly Nectar. So we're going to heal Norman back up to full. And, man, this Butterfly Nectar one has actually been coming in clutch. And then we're going to hope that it targets closest. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and just back ourselves into this wall here. Actually, we'll just go 3, 4 instead. And then it is Umbrello's turn. No target. Move towards the wishing well. The townsfolk are swept up and pushed 4 squares towards the town pond, then trigger the after effect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The harsh waves toss the group around like ragdolls. All townsfolk within 3 squares of the town pond take 1 damage. Luckily, we are far away enough for that. Even being swept up. All right, it is Norman's turn. Come on, Norman, you can end it here. You just need to get a 4 or higher because we have +2 accuracy. That is a 5, and that, my friends, is the last point of damage for the ruffian, and that is the end of Umbrello. Ooh, that was pretty close. I was a little bit worried there, but man, the Chuck and Spear, even though Quintus died, he did so much damage with just a couple of throws. So this card is really, really cool. It's the first time I played with the Chuck and Spear. And plus the Butterfly Nectar was super, super clutch and just keeping Norman topped off so he could just keep tanking damage. I'm very surprised Yancey didn't die there. All right, well, there's no... yeah, so Norman didn't accomplish any feats. Yancey also did not accomplish any feats. And Quintus died, so he's actually not eligible for the boss gear, even though he was the only one that completed a feat. Now, let's see. I guess if no one completed feats, no one gets the piece of unique gear, unfortunately. So that's a little bit too bad. But it's okay. Winning the fight is better than not winning the fight. So, however, we still get 10 coins or 6 coins each. You get 6 coins for beating the ruffian. And you get the coins even if you're knocked out. And that is going to be it. So after you have sort of finished allocating your feats of metal, passing out the coins, you then can discard any... you can then sort of clean up the board, and you can move to the next town phase. So it's going to start off with you choosing which unaccomplished achievements you want to discard. And I think we're going to discard Grand Sacrifice because I don't really like that one. And we're going to discard... Actually, we can keep those. Maybe we can get that done. This is an accomplished one. Let's end Tough as Nails because ideally we don't really want to be the last one. And we're going to get rid of Bard as well. Once you've got rid of the unaccomplished feats you don't like, you'll draw up to your max hand of 3. So Norman has 1 spot open, so he'll just draw 1. Quintus needs 3 of them, so he'll draw 3. And Yancey has 2 spots open, so we'll draw 2. All right. So we got some new feats, and then you rotate the turn order, so the person at the top moves to the bottom. And then you start with the town events, just like the other phase. So Norman Fishboy would resolve his first, then Yancey Plover, then Quintus Binch, and so on and so forth. And you would also flip this back over, go to the Peddler, get a new inventory of Peddler stuff, and so on and so forth. And that is how you play Townsfolk Tussle. That is the whole game loop. Of course, the only difference being once you get to the final fight, there'll be special rules and terrain pieces and stuff like that that you want to pay attention to on that boss card on the back side of it. And then once you're done beating the boss or losing to the boss, you actually read a little entry at the end of the book, which provides a little story about what happens, whether you win or lose, or if you happen to win with a special objective and unlock some things for the future playthroughs. I do believe that there is no... I don't know if there's gear for the future runs in the demo. There might be. It might be some of the unique gear, but I'm not sure. I played this with a couple of friends, and we did finish. We did win. However, I don't believe I saw the cards that were listed in the special objectives win condition. So that might be just another thing that you might not be able to experience, unfortunately, in the demo version. But but like I said, you can still experience a full run, and I still have 3 more fights to go. If you enjoyed watching this video, let me know. And if you actually want me to continue this sort of run and go through the other fights, hopefully, assuming I beat them, then let me know in the comments. I definitely am interested in making more board game content, even if it is on Tabletop Simulator. Unfortunately, I don't really have a great recording environment or recording method for doing it in my living room, and I'm sort of someone who doesn't really like to half-ass things, and I sort of like having like good audio quality and video quality and stuff like that. So I do like having like my streamer mic and being able to record using OBS and stuff like that. It just makes things a lot easier doing it on Tabletop Simulator, especially if you are doing a solo play, since a lot of the stuff on Tabletop Simulator is automated. But let me know if you'd be interested in watching me do kind of that kind of stuff, because I am interested in getting into the board gaming space a little bit more content creation wise, even though I don't create content regularly anymore. I definitely have the urge to every now and then. But until next time, all, thanks for watching. I believe I did mention this before, but just to reiterate, if you were interested in getting Townsfolk Tussle, you can get it right now, the demo on Tabletop Simulator. But if you want the physical version, unfortunately, it was Kickstarter only. It's not going to retail, but the developers did confirm later this year they will be opening up a new Kickstarter for expansions for this game, as well as providing reprints for the base game as well. So definitely join their Discord. Definitely follow them on the social media. The developers are Panic Roll, great group of people, and they made a fantastic game. I think this is going to be one of my group's favorite games that we play, and I'll do an unboxing once the physical copy gets here. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.